House of Bookkeeping, this is the first official FIA Formula E World Championship that we'll have in the year 2021. But the talent of the series and the manufacturer involvement, at least the opinion of this Motorsport 101 co-host, should have really justified its status as a top-level championship, a world championship many years before. Still, we're here now, and in the midst of the never-ending coronavirus outbreak, the only thing that's for sure about the Formula E calendar in 2021 is that nothing's for sure. Well, by the time you hear this, we'll be racing in the streets of Riyadh for the doubleheader Diriyah E-Prix on the 26th and 27th of February. And what we also know is that the first part of the calendar thereafter is as follows. Rome on the 10th of April, the racing debut at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo in Valencia follows that just 2 weeks later. We will have a Monaco E-Prix on the 8th of May by all accounts, as the Principality is going to build the racetrack, just in the news today. Marrakesh and Morocco, always a favorite, follows on the 22nd of May. And then finally, the delayed Santiago E-Prix in Chile on the 5th and 6th of June, another doubleheader. And then after that, the second part of the calendar, King, who knows? Who knows what it'll look like?
Yeah, due to the times we live in, it is, frankly, an unknown.
Yeah, all of this is still very much up in the air. Looks like Saudi Arabia is a definite. Beyond that, fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
That is a provisional schedule. Emphasis on provisional. Yeah, King, I know you wanted to mention the homologation status going in as well.
Yes, so far, basically, teams were given the option to homologate their new powertrains, which they would use for the rest of the Gen 2 period, either at the start of this year or sometime later on this year. All but 3 teams elected to choose to change over at the start of the year. All but Dragon, Nissan, and Techeetah. And it's becoming fairly clear that all these teams will do the move over for the Rome E-Prix, whenever that may be, even though it seems like Rome seems to be definitely going to happen, but, nothing's
Hopefully.
certain nowadays.
Yeah.
Indeed. So Rome seems to be one of the critical points of the season. Again, as King pointed out, very interesting that it's the first and second team in last year's championship, and then the team second from last. Bit of a bizarre one, that, but we'll roll with it. Now, we'll talk a little bit about this team by team. We're going to go in reverse championship order from last year, because that's way more fun. Which unfortunately means we've got to kind of get Neo 333 out of the way. Where do we start with the Neo team here? They've been the little team who's tried. They didn't score a single point last season, despite having a car in 11th early doors.
Yeah.
It's rough out here.
It is rough out here, but testing looked a bit more promising. Oliver Turvey was in the top 10. Again, we would say that Valencia was completely unrepresentative until they changed the provisional calendar, and now we're actually going to race round it. So it's a little bit more relevant, I guess.
I hope that this is a sign. I mean, because it looks like Neo 333 is out of the worst of it, and regarding their driver lineup, Oliver Turvey Oliver Turvey needs to go in for, spinal fusion surgery with how worn his back is from putting that entire team on it for the last handful of years.
Such a loyal servant.
And I'll say this about Tom Blumquist. I know he's not had many representative Formula E appearances. He only has a single point-scoring finish, and that was in a partial season with Andretti a few years ago, but I generally get the impression that he's much better than his results show. I mean, Christmas, he was between Ocon and Verstappen in that year in European F3 in 2014. Yeah. On driving talent alone, this should be a much better team. I just can't see them breaking out of the basement just yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a year where we're going to hear things from Neo 333 along the lines of that long said phrase out of Philadelphia, trust the process.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Someone tell that to Joel Embiid and see if he doesn't smack the taste out of your mouth right now. It's like, yeah, I'm going to put up 35 and lose by 20. It's the Neo way. But yeah, I mean, as RJ alluded to, on the driver lineup is a lot better on paper than what the team is pound for pound in the sport right now. But there's been no indication they're going to lift themselves out of the doldrums just yet. That's the impression that I get, at least.
Yeah, gut feeling, they're probably going to be fighting for 11th with the next team.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about that next team? Because that next team is Dragon, the most popular team in the field.
Yes, Geox Dragon, who this year have Nico Muller and Sergio Sette Camera.
Ooh.
Again, it's another case of the driving talent alone should indicate this is a competitive team. Dragon Racing just haven't been that since Jerome D'Ambrosio up and left them.
Indeed. They've never been quite the same since then, and they've been down the bottom for a little while. There's been a lot of calls to question about how that team has operated, what it's done with driver lineups.
Do you remember when they were second in the team's championship in the inaugural year?
That seems like a long gaping chasm ago.
Yes, recall back to the good old days of Season 1, where the team that was now Neo 333 were the team champions, and Dragon were second in the championship. Now they're both on the bottom.
With Oriol Servia driving for Dragon and Charles Peak in the rotation at what was now Neo 333. This is wild. I think it's hard to say. I mean, you can't get much worse than they did last year, but I don't feel. Yeah, I can't. There's only thing that has me optimistic is how Sette Camera fares in his first full season. It gets that far.
Yeah, it's the thing about these bottom two teams is that it sure as hell isn't the driving talent in the seats that are the problem.
No. I was going to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it that you think the two drivers, Nico Muller and Sergio Sette Camera in those seats right now, are the two drivers that finished the year?
I don't know about that, Chief.
Not high.
I mean, Christ, Brendan Hartley was just like, I'm good before we even got to the Berlin Sextuple.
yeah, I don't want that. I'm going to go win some Le Mans races. Fuck
Neil Yanni up and left after one bad weekend in Hong Kong.
Oh, man.
And we thought that was as bad as it was going to get for his Formula E tenure. Unfortunately, not.
So, King, what's your gut feeling? Still in the fight for the 10th spot here?
Ooh, gut feeling, I think Dragon are going to finish last and Neo will be 11th.
Damn.
So you think Dragon goes all the way to the bottom?
Yes.
Oh boy. Okay.
I
started from the bottom and was somehow be able to get even lower.
I'd hope they'd pick up at least some points to offset that. I don't think any team's going to go scoreless, but that's not out of the realm of question.
Yeah, Neo went scoreless last year.
To the 9 spot from last year, our friends at Rocket Venturi Racing. We have adorable Tara, and now rookie making his debut in the series, Norman Nato's coming in as well in the 71 car.
Adam Motara, the other Swiss DTM driver in the field.
We're all one big family here. And again, like they were ninth overall last year. Obviously, significantly better than the bottom two that we've seen. They were 44 points last year in the points on quite a few occasions, but never troubling the thick end of the leaderboard. Again, it's another like Mortara is genuinely really, really quick when he's got the right car underneath him. The problem is that they don't seem to have the right car underneath them very often. That's the impression that I get. And,
He had one the year before last. The problem is now that last year Mortara scored like all but 3 of the team's points because I'm not saying Felipe Massa was a bit over the hill last season, but my man's was cooked. Norman Nato was never a serious Formula One prospect when he was racing in Formula 2 But I'll say
That's GP
this,
too, yeah.
he's a much better choice for Formula E than I think people give him credit for. I mean, he's been solid in endurance racing ever since he stepped in there.
Yeah, he drove for Rebellion the last couple of years and was...
Yeah, won a couple of rounds. Finished second overall last year.
Yeah, against some quality co-drivers, he was far from embarrassing himself. He did a good job.
Yeah,
I don't expect him to lead the team, but I expect him to be a bit more productive than Moss was last season.
Yeah,
I still expect Mortara to breathe the straw that stirs the drink. I can talk.
Yeah, it's that weird situation where Formula E requires a lot of different skill sets from a lot of different styles of racing to be good in Formula E. But usually the number one determining factor on whether a rookie will be good or not in Formula E is how much they're willing to learn and adapt to Formula E's unique style of racing.
So not causing a lap 1 wreck, basically.
Yeah.
Or causing a lap 1 wreck and being or causing it and being the one who benefits from it. Both can apply.
I mean, any major movement out of them, do you reckon, King? Or are they going to be in that lower end of the midfield? Because the next team we're talking about was very close to them last year as well, as friends from India.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in the same spot. Like, Formula E's competitive order is starting to somewhat solidify, and unfortunately, Venturi in their position, somewhat being a Mercedes B team, are kind of going to be, midfield at best.
As Finley points out, though, will Vice Captain Jerome D'Ambrosio be a little lift to this team, I wonder?
Oh, I'd love to see it.
The Grand Tour guest, Jerome D'Ambrosio.
Multiple-time Francois Chevert look-alike champion, Jerome D'Ambrosio.
As you do. So, we'll have to wait and see how Venturi holds up on that one. Again, one very, very good driver in Mortara there on his day, but I think they could be battling the guys that we're going to talk about next, and that's our friends at Mahindra Racing. It's, as we have to call them now, Team Alex for this year. It's the Alex Power Hour with Alex Sims in the 29 car, and then Alex Lynn back in the series in the 94 car. I miss when Sims was in a BMW. Those were fun times. Drove hard. Went viral with memes because it was a creative use of umbrellas and taking it easy, but generally speaking was very good. What do we make of Mahindra here in this situation? Because we know they can punch above their weight. We saw it with Pascal Wehrlein not too long ago. But
we saw that, but again, without Pascal late in last year, things were rough over at Mahindra. Yeah. They seem to really be lost without Pascal leading the charge.
I'll say that Lynn's probably a better driver. And to his credit, he did rattle off 3 straight point-scoring finishes at the Berlin Sets-Tuple to end the year.
Sims, I don't think the problem so much is the drivers they have. It's, can the team now build around what is effectively a very new lineup?
And from certain information that, in terms of, their powertrain was lacking and there was a lot of room for improvement, that it's not all just down on the drivers. Like, Pascal definitely made up the difference in a lot of areas.
Well, he hit the stage with that team where he got another opportunity, which we'll talk about in a minute, and he bailed as soon as he could.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, and on that note, I think it's kind of bullshit that Mahindra are keeping his F1 number hostage, but that's besides the point. I don't think that has any bearing in their competitive form. Yeah, Mahindra's been on a bit of a steady decline. 3rd, 4th, 6th, and then 9th last year, and it's only going to get more competitive. I would like to see them make an uptick in form. Sims is an E-Prix winner. He's certainly good enough.
Yeah, Sims is a proven quantity. So is Lynn.
Yeah, I could see them improving on last year, but not by much.
It could be another fight for a separate fight for 9th, because again, there's a big step up in points when we get to the next team compared to last year. If we want to use that as a yardstick, certainly. I mean, them and Venturi are pretty close. Then it's quite a jump up to the next team, and there is a lot of excitement in the air about this team, especially on the bottom right corner of our Discord window. It's the Tag Heuer Porsche team, and when we saw testing go down, again, not really representative, but that didn't stop a certain someone in here being quite giddy with excitement. Again,
no. The thing is, I wasn't. It was information from another member of our Discord.
He's lying.
New driver. We just mentioned him. Pascal Wehrlein takes over Johnny's seat alongside Andre Lauderer.
Yeah, and we're not even halfway through the teams yet. But due to Formula E's nature, I could easily say that anyone from this point onwards is a championship contender.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is win now mode for Porsche. This is year 2, and they're pretty much, of all the German manufacturers other than Mercedes, one of the only ones that is committed to this series long term. We'll get to that in a few teams in a second. They have Lauderer, who should have been, has multiple podiums in this series by now, is a proven quantity, probably should have won an E-Prix at some point down the road. And now you don't have an excuse to say, well, the other car's not under-delivering because now Pascal Wehrlein's on the team now.
Yeah,
They've
last year
some races.
Last year was very much a tale of really 3 seasons because Johnny was nowhere.
Yep.
He was just nowhere all year. And then Lauderer was either fighting for wins, crashed out, or midfield.
Not the 3 seasons you really want to go through if you're going to be a driver in a series like this.
Yeah, in one
There's no
year.
real good option here.
Yeah, we know the car is good. We know both drivers are good. I want to see them win some races this year.
Yeah.
And King, I know you mentioned people who were there at testing, it was like months ago, because of the world we live in right now, said that the Porsche was, what was the quote you said? A weapon?
Yeah,
in
weapon.
testing?
Yeah. It's usually, people don't read the testing times that much in other championships, but in Formula E, when you're fast in testing and people notice it, you're generally going to be fast in the year. Because last year, the champions of the preseason were BMW. And while they
were fast. They won 2 of the first 3, but the problem was
they were fast, and then they spent half the year in the wall. And I'm not expecting championship out of them, but I am expecting consistent podiums, a couple wins. Has to be the goal this year for Porsche.
I'm thinking top 3 in the team's championship at minimum.
Yeah, that has to be the goal.
Yeah, given who we're talking about and given who people we trust in this Discord with Formula E, it seems like top 3 would be a reasonable aim for this team. Would be a big improvement on where they were last year when they were 8th. But the hype is real in the camp. We've seen it out on track. It certainly passes the eye test in terms of seeing what they can do on a track. And again, we do race around Valencia this year now, so that's bound to be interesting to say the least. It's a hell of a team. You mentioned Lauderer is, I think, a bit better than his results show, and Pascal Wehrlein is more than capable of winning races with the right setup underneath him. It's a very exciting team.
If he was scraping podiums in a Mahindra that is generally considered pretty awful behind the scenes...
He was a fingertip away from winning Mexico City, god damn it!
Yeah,
then I'm expecting great things out of Pascal this year.
Indeed. Yeah, looking forward to that indeed. Next down the line is our friends at Panasonic Jaguar Racing. And we have our friend and yours, Mr. Free-to-Play, Mitch Evans in the number 20 car.
What's this wee shit? I haven't forgotten Mexico last year.
You're still salty about this, I see.
I will never not be.
I will never log off, etc., etc. Free-to-play Mitch Bruh in the number 20 seat, but he's got a new teammate, and it's one that I don't think at one point we'd ever see in different colours, but here we are, in the number 10 car. The bird is indeed the word. Sam Bird in representing Jaguar Racing in one of the high-profile moves amongst the
I'd say
grid.
that's the high-profile move of the off-season. Sam
Yeah,
Bird
the
has
man-
been with Virgin Racing his entire Formula E tenure.
Yeah, he said this was I think the right time in his career for a fresh start, and he's gone over to Jaguar. And I mean, King, it's a pretty good team. We know this team's got a lot of upside, certainly. More than capable of winning this thing.
Yeah, more than capable of winning this thing, mainly due to what everyone remembers last year. Heading into Berlin, Mitch Evans seemed like he was the favorite to win the championship, and then everything collapsed.
Yeah. Just by virtue of consistency, just reeling off good results.
Yeah, and they got to Berlin, and it all just dried up. The top
And
end just
Antonio
was not
Felix
there.
da Costa dropped not just the piano, but the whole ensemble on the field.
Yeah, it just didn't happen for him in the second half of the year. I was like, call it the Tempelhof Nights mini season, as we like to call it on here.
We love our
Look,
Tempelhof Knights.
it's a great team. Like, there is no reason why. Again, I know the more I look at it now, the more I think King is right. The top 7 or 8 really do genuinely have a shot here. And again, we've seen Jaguar win races, compete on the highest level consistently. There's no reason why this team can't win the championship. They've got a good car, a good powertrain, and 2 pretty damn good drivers that we know can win. Like,
Sam Bird's won a race every season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Problem
they
is,
can-
the last
they can
couple of
win
years,
races.
he's just fallen away from championship contention, which
Yeah,
is
they
strange to think about because he's the most successful driver that has not won a title in the young history of Formula E.
Well, that's just it. They can win races. They can put together good results. They can't put a season together. At least they haven't so far. And
that,
it's time for them to put a season together.
Indeed. Look, this is a team that should not be 7th on paper. Like, they are way better than that. And I think you watch them and you think, that's the 7th best team? How does that work? And yeah, King, I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, they tick just about every box.
Yeah, they do tick about every box. Like, I like, gut feeling, I don't think Evans is going to be as good as he was last year, but Bird and a Jag, I'm scared.
Yeah, Bird is a proven quantity. We know what he can do, and he's got a fresh crew around him. He's got a solid car. Let's
Looks
see what he can do
motivated
this
too.
year.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Going into this year, Sam Bird has people that he has something to prove.
This is the hottest lineup of the 2013 GP3 series, all in one team. GP2 series, I'm sorry. I apologize for putting Sam Bird down in GP3.
Oh dear, we still miss the days of Catalonia and Sam Bird corner. Good times. Living up again. Let's take a look at Audi. Audi sporting what will be their final season in Formula E.
Yeah, what do we
Adios.
think about this? Because last year we thought Audi we thought they were bad. We thought they were awful last year, and then they plugged Rene Rask in during Tempelhof Nights, and he was instantly fighting for podiums.
Yeah, big shot in the arm for Audi right at the end of last year when Rast came in and was immediately fighting for podiums.
Yeah.
Was immediately outperforming Lucas Degrassi. Day one.
And clearly, all the talk, like, the car, like, with Degrassi now, like, oh man, I wish this car performed better. Nah, fam.
No, that's gone. That's dead.
We don't speak of that no more around here, damn it. And yeah, no surprise, they've retained that lineup. Lucas Degrassi in the number 11 car, Rene Rask in the 33. Again, like, we all know Audi has the pedigree to be able to do this, but they've
An all-new powertrain this year as well.
Yeah.
Well, is this going to be a case of them going out on a bang?
Yes,
and
because
hopefully a metaphorical one rather than a literal one.
While Audi's factory team is leaving, they'll still be providing their powertrain to Virgin. So they still have a reason to develop this powertrain. Like, just because they're leaving doesn't mean they're going to stop
caring.
caring.
Is the factory involvement.
Yeah.
And
Indeed.
And
yeah, Rene Rask, for all my personal beef with him over Tempelhof Nights last year, he is box office.
Yeah.
He's one of the best drivers in the world. He proves it every time he steps into damn well anything he gets into.
Just about anything.
There's no reason why Rene Rask can't be easy top 5 or higher in the championship this year.
I think Rene Rask is going to solidify his legacy as Audi's Grim Reaper. Last year, he won DTM, and then Audi left. Audi announced they're leaving. Rene Rask wins the title.
God, we haven't had a true... We haven't had an Audi Grim Reaper since the heyday of, like, the big banger diesel LMPs.
Yes, and now Rene Rask has come to Formula E to take Audi away with a trophy.
Where's his scythe? I know Andre.
It's still plunged into the left front corner of Andre Lauder's Porsche.
I still feel iffy about the circumstances of which Daniel App was asked to lead the team. But Rene Rask is a serious good driver to plug in his place. And this is the first time that there has been a genuine struggle for power and dominance within Audi Sport App Schaeffler. Because Lucas de Grassi, well, he prides himself on being Formula E's very first test driver. He prides himself on being the franchise. And for all the talk about his struggles, he was still 6th in the championship and regularly scoring top 10s. And you gotta feel like this is kind of his last roll of the dice to see, is he gonna come back into championship contention? Or are we starting to see the decline of the franchise of Formula E?
I think this franchise is gonna end up like the Sanchez.
Someone who's listening, enshrine that in the quotes channel of our supporters club.
Agreed.
I tend to agree with King. I think Rast has his number. I really do.
Really?
Yeah.
So is that going to be one of our bold? Is that going to be one of our M101 bold predictions for the motorsport season? Rast beats Degrassi head to head.
I don't think it's that bold, to be honest.
I know. No, I don't think it's that bold either.
We think Lucas is on the other side of the hill that bad.
Yep.
Okay.
It's going to be like, hey, Lucas, come on. We're heading to LMDH.
Yeah, and it's... You talk about that like it's a farm upstate. Jesus fucking Christ!
It sounded like he was taking Lucas behind the barn. I was just like, Jesus King.
It's time to be a plastic platinum in GT4 competition, buddy.
No, yeah, and I look back to the last time I really remember them in the Audi camp together in the same series was at Le Mans 2015, and as Audi's challenge began to fall apart in the later hours, it was Rast in the number 9 Audi who was really the last man standing.
Look,
so
you don't need any convincing from us. Like, Rene Rask is genuinely one of the pound-for-pound best racing drivers on the planet. So
yeah, we've been saying for years.
Wait! Everyone stop!
Stop!
Everyone stop. Our resident Audi supporter in the Discord, Sasha, has posted, and this needs to go in the quotes channel too. Lucas, future is an attitude, and your time is...
Beautiful. That's beautifully done. Well done, Sasha. You just hit the quote section. Congratulations, sir. Beautifully done. Let's move up a little bit further, shall we? Into last year's top 5 and BMW Andretti Modus Autosport, I should say.
Another team that's leaving. Goodbye.
Yeah, the last season with BMW as a factory supplier in the sport.
Oh, how much promise last year started with, and oh, how it fell the fuck apart.
Yes, ended up in the bin very quickly. The team was shit hot to start the year, won 2 of the first 3, and then only win 1 other race for the rest of the year. It was rough, but one of their drivers, I am certainly convinced, I think has got every chance of being a contender for the championship. A guy that is genuinely excellent, Maxi Gunther in the 28 car.
Maxi Gunther's legit, y'all.
Oh, he's very, very
He
good.
dragged Dragon Racing to top 5s that they had no business scoring.
No.
And he took 2 wins in a season that was otherwise, it was either win or bust for Matze Gunther in 2019-20. He's got to string together some consistency. I'm confident that he will. I'm looking at Jake Dennis. I'm thinking that's a shrewd pick.
Yeah,
Jake Dennis
it's an
ain't no
interesting
scrub.
pick. This team, if they iron out the mistakes of last year, and they were many, and they came quick and fast.
They're rich and plentiful.
Yeah, they were rich and plentiful. If they can iron out the mistakes, they could conceivably destroy the field this season.
I want to bring up something here. That Jake Dennis, in 2015, was only bested in the championship by Felix Rosenqvist and Antonio Giovinazzi. He finished ahead of Leclerc, he finished ahead of Stroll, he finished ahead of Russell, and Albon, and Matze Gunther's there too. Oh, and some guy named Ferrucci, but who cares?
Yeah, fuck that guy. Look, Mans is good. He is a proven quantity. We know he's good behind the wheel of a race car.
Absolutely.
It's been kind of a reoccurring theme throughout this whole preview is the depth of field just purely on the driver's side is phenomenal this year in Formula E.
I don't agree with the assertion that Formula E drivers are just saying they enjoy it for the money. I think they genuinely enjoy racing.
I think that's a narrative created by it's just an insert series here, reject series. No, this is a series that on its own merits has a superb driver lineup.
Yeah. We've had complimentary things to say about almost every driver on this roster so far, and Jake Dennis is a very shrewd bit of a business for BMW to bring in the second car. We know, I know it was a little bit in the past, but we know he has beaten in similar machinery some of the very best racing drivers in the world that we look at now, half a decade later.
Like Christmas, after spending a whole year in the Aston Martin BMW DTM program.
God! He led that program. That's how that program was so irrelevant. I forgot he was involved.
Yeah, it was here's our Motorsport Astons with Jake Dennis and Ferdinand Habsburg
and Paul di Resta.
Sexy.
And then Audi and BMW said, "Hold our Hefeweizen."
Yeah. I mean, King, what do you make of BMW's chances here? Again, all round very, very strong on paper, I think.
Very strong lineup, I think. I think they're just going to spend the whole year thinking about what's next because Andretti don't want to leave. BMW may be leaving, but Andretti don't want to leave. What's going to happen with the drivers? Is Jake Dennis going to... Is Gunther tied to BMW? Is he leaving after this is over? Or is he going to stay with any Andretti project after this?
Yeah, it feels like that's their problem this year is that all the ingredients that are there are very, very good. But the shadow of 2022 season looms very large over this team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I'm Andretti, I do not want to let a guy as talented as Max Gunther potentially walk. That is an excellent number one guy, and you'll see.
Not without a damn good replacement already in the pipeline. I'll say that much.
They're a very, very good team, and again, absolutely ones to look out for as BMW says goodbye. Speaking of veteran presences, Envision Virgin Racing.
Harley Davidson Virgin Racing.
You stop.
Oh my. And again, another great lineup here. We've got Robin Friends in the number 4 car, another excellent, race-winning level driver at the front of the field. And
RJ, you're looking very smug over there, RJ.
Mr. Japanese Motorsport on the top right corner, looking very smug because you got the rookie in there, but it's quite a good one in the 37 car, Nick Cassidy, ladies and gentlemen. And
this is going to be the most fun team in the series. Robin Friends is awesome. Nick Cassidy is going to be rookie of the year.
Box office.
Both these guys are box office.
They're not.
They just gotta have a consistent season. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, there are not many people. There are not many people in motorsport who I could, say, they could fill Sandberg's shoes at Virgin, but Nick Cassidy is definitely one of those dudes.
And over the last couple of years, everything Nick Cassidy touches turns to gold. He is competitive in anything you plug him into.
Indeed. One of the most versatile, all-round, incredibly quick talents in motorsport.
Robin Fritz is no scrub either. I mean, I know last year was kind of a down year, though, because he took a dip, didn't win a race after winning 2 last season. I think he'll get that sorted. But yeah, Fritz has proven he's been good in junior formula. He's been excellent in junior formula. Hell, Robin Fritz was what Max Verstappen was hyped up to be before Max Verstappen even stepped out of go-karts.
Yeah.
And then he's been great in GT cars. He's been great in DTM. He's been a race winner in Formula E.
Yeah.
Like, Fritz has been excellent in Formula E from, like, year 2 of this series. He's always been in and around that mix. Like, he's from pretty much the start of his time in the series, he's been outstanding. So, again, it's an incredible team, especially like driver lineup on paper. We know Virgin is always in or around the winner's circle, and again, they're always good for a couple of wins a year. Is this the year they finally put it all together? I don't know.
It's gonna be tough.
Another thing as well is they're the other team, and going forward, they will be potentially the replacement for the factory. They're the other team getting the new in-house Audi Powertrain for this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
They have all the cards stacked in their favor.
Yeah, they're another team with all the parts. They have all the parts to win a championship, but we gotta put rubber to pavement before we really know how good they are.
Yeah.
Indeed. Again, incredibly strong team on paper. Again, we're going to keep repeating ourselves down the line because next up, Mercedes. Hello. Here comes the hammer, because it's the Mercedes team. And what was our closing image at the end of last season? Yeah, it was Stoffel season, as King likes to say. It's an incredible team. Number 5, Stoffel Vandoorne, and in the 17 car, 2019 Formula 2 champion Nick de Vries. I mean, come on. Do I even need to explain how this team is great?
Yeah, great team. Stoffel Vandoorne, anything he touches throughout his whole career turns to gold, unless it turns papaya orange and shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I think he's a lot happier with a car that is capable of scoring points in the second half of the year.
I think it's just happier to have like a PlayStation 5 for a change. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I think he would have preferred the real thing at the end of last year. Sorry, Stoffel.
Yeah.
And Nick de Vries.
Last year's Rookie of the Year?
Last year's Rookie of the Year, but Stoffel pretty comprehensively dominated him all year.
Yeah,
I think that's to be expected, because being a rookie in Formula E is very, 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 very hard.
Even that was only Stoffel's second season.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is another championship or bust kind of team that I'm looking at.
Yeah, they're
top
definitely
3 minimum.
I mean, it's Mercedes. It's the Mercedes-Benz mantra. It's always win now. Though it's clear that if they do win now, it's going to be Stoffel. Like, de Vries is, unless things drastically change, de Vries is somewhat the number 2. Like, his number might be 17, but he certainly knows 77. It's going to be a very strong number 2.
Oh my god.
God 12?
12.
You think Nick de Vries remembers all those years in the McLaren Academy with Stoffel right up above him in the hierarchy for all those years, to the point that he never got a Formula 1 ride himself?
Yeah, that must have sucked. And yeah, it's easy to forget that while it was close at the end of the season, we are talking about Stoffel Vandoorne, last year's championship runner-up.
Yeah.
Because right up at the end, Mercedes ran on a very, very good string of results.
Yeah, and it's easy to forget that because it was a bloodbath in the fight for second towards the end of last season. The Costa was down the road like 3 races prior, but
it was picking to see who went to Antonio Felix da Costa's guillotine.
Yeah. And yeah, Stoffel did come out on top in that bloodbath last year in a highly competitive situation where literally one of half the field could have ended up in second going into those final 2 races in Tempelhof. So Stoffel, proven clutch guy. We all know how great a racing driver he is. We all know how McLaren did him dirty. You don't need me to tell you that on this show. You know, Nick de Vries, solid pair of hands in the second car. Merckx, big name reputation, big name car. We know it can win pretty much at will. They're going to want a championship. Simple as that. Moving along, we have last year's championship runners-up and always a solid pair of hands at the worst of times. Nissan Edams and all reliable, as SpongeBob might say in the cartoon. In number 23, Sebastian Buemi. We all know how good he is.
Sebastian Buemi, eternal.
Eternal. He's here forever. He will bring together all of Japanese motorsport in one tight, convenient, politically sound package. And the number 22 car next to him, Oliver Rowland, who was pretty damn good last year, was in that bloodbath for second in the championship. Again, he was 4 points off second, ended up fifth. It's not fair.
For most of the year, for most of the year last year, you would have never guessed that Nissan would end up second. But right at the end, they got their shit together, and you know, ever since the inception of Formula E, this team and its many guys is a perennial threat.
Yeah. And
they're always
considering last year Nissan Edams, they'll let you know 1,000 times over that, hey, the powertrain setup we wanted to run this season got banned and we had to throw together something in an emergency, and despite that, they finished second in the championship. Now they had an entire off-season to prepare for this. I'm slightly worried about how good they're gonna be.
Look, we have 0 question marks over their drivers. Rowland was excellent. Buemi is maybe pound for pound the best driver in the series.
When
there's certainly an argument you can make there.
Was at his peak in like the first handful of seasons. We were talking about this dude is making this series boring. That's how good he was.
Yeah, and of course,
that's how good he can still be. I mean, Christmas, he only turns 33 this season.
Yep.
Keep in mind, he's also on a hat trick of Le Mans 24-hour victories alongside his co-driver in the number 8 Toyota.
Decent driver. Decent.
Yeah, like, Nissan Edams are gonna be that old house on the hill. It was there before you, they're gonna be there long after you're gone.
Yeah.
Unflappable. Like, as Thanos would say, inevitable.
And all this despite all the unrest at the Nissan, Renault, Mitsubishi alliance.
Carlos going to do... They couldn't even be broken by Carlos going to do crimes.
Yeah.
No. Unflappable. They're just the consummate professionals. They are always there. They can win any given race on paper if they get their shit in line. They are
when they have a consistent car and a consistent team and they can minimize mistakes, they work harder and more in depth at this game than anyone else.
Yeah, they are incredibly... Look, if you're beating Edams over a season, you're probably
doing
a very
things
good
right.
team. You're either A, very good team, or B, you've probably just won the championship. Just like the last team on the list that did so last year, and pretty much slaughtered the field in a bloodbath, because Antonio Felix da Costa was that dude. What guy? That guy last year.
Yeah,
the
rulers. The rulers of Tempelhof. DS Techeetah.
Yes.
DS Techeetah, you know the drill. It's an unchanged lineup. Number 13, Antonio Felix da Costa, and his best friend, and or should I say best frenemy, number 25, Jeff. Jean-Eric Verne in the 25 car, and is there any movement on their position as favourites going into this? Because we all know this team is a monster.
Well, I think it goes to... When it came to light that Antonio Felix da Costa was going to do an IndyCar test with Rahal Letterman Lanigan, people questioned if he was going to leave the series. He told people no. He wanted to stay in Formula E. He wanted to do in Formula E what Lewis Hamilton did in F1, which...
That's a hell of a statement, man!
That is pretty much akin to LeBron James going out on the floor of American Airlines Arena and saying, "Not one, not two, not three."
That is a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
a
say.
small asterisk next to DS Techeetah is that they didn't run their new powertrain in testing.
Yep.
They're saving it for a rainy day. And they were still pretty fast.
Yeah. Look, Jev is one of the best drivers this series ever had. Yeah, an early adopter. We all know what he's capable of. The Costa absolutely ran the field over last year.
Yeah. His solution to the championship was, I'm going to keep winning until the championship is over.
Yeah.
These guys have both been here since season 1. For DaCosta, it was kind of a more gradual climb at the top because he spent time in some bad teams.
Yeah.
Like before Andretti got that BMW deal. When Team Aguri was still a thing. And he actually won a race with them.
Yeah,
and for Verne, it was just like he always had that potential and then he finally put it together and then he became elite.
Yeah. I was going to say, this was back in the day when Aguri was better at giving away caps than they were at actually being good in Formula E.
I've got one of those caps.
Me too! Who hasn't got one of those caps? It is very... oh, poor Cam. See, you didn't beg hard enough on Twitter.
Penalty.
But
Unnecessary horniness.
I think the thing that I worry about is we know DaCosta and Verne are very competitive on the surface. Do we think that their partnership is going to get more toxic? Do we think that there's going to be a swing of the power? Do you think Verne is going to have a resurgence of form?
You know what it was like? I can't come me first.
I think it's going to depend on how potentially the new powertrain suits each driver. Because last year, DaCosta ended up so far ahead of Verne late in the season that they couldn't have on-track beef. And I rate Jeff very, very highly as a driver. It feels like their relationship near the end of last year was going from early 2014 Mercedes F1 to post-Monaco Mercedes F1.
I was going to say, it was like... I looked at it like they were frenemies towards the end of last year. It's like, I know Jev was very happy for Antonio when he actually won the championship. He was like, come here, old boy, and next thing you know that he's jumping in each other's arms. And I was like, you can tell that Jev was not exactly best pleased that he'd been dethroned. It's like he had the steel chair by his side ready to go and he didn't quite swing it.
It's like when Lorenzo was winning titles... It's like when... No. Scratch. It's like when Marquez won his first couple titles and Rossi wasn't in the hunt. And then Rossi was in the hunt and Marquez was still winning and things got really, really bad.
I think it's like having a lit match over a barrel of kerosene. I think it would not take much to blow that team up. And
these two hit each other on track. Boom.
Yeah. It would not take much. They're two very volatile personalities. They're two guys that have their hearts on their sleeve. They're not afraid to say what they mean. They are very aggressive on track when they have to be.
Oh, we love it.
But that's the beauty of the team. That's the beauty of Techeetah, and they're on a knife edge. And I have a feeling that might be the only way they don't win this championship.
That's the thing about this series, and the difference between... Look, if Mercedes' car wasn't as good as it was from 2014 to 2016, and Rosberg and Lewis had the relationship that they have, that could have very easily put their championships in jeopardy. Here, we have a similar situation. DS Techeetah is a... Yeah, DS Techeetah is a fantastic team with a great car and two very good drivers who probably don't get along too well behind the scenes.
And not to mention as well, it's got to suck for Verne to be beaten by a first-year teammate in a team that he partially owns.
Yeah. He's co-owner. People forget
this
that.
Is the house he helped build. And the Costa walked right in and took his couch.
It's like your Macho Man Randy Savage watching Hulk Hogan hot dog in the ring.
Things changed drastically because, 2 seasons ago, we were talking about, hey, Jeff might have just tried to fix one of the New York E-Prix races.
2 years is a long time in motorsport.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we loved his bromance with Andre Lauder when they were teammates. This is a very, very different dynamic.
Different times. So those are your runners and riders for the 2021 Formula E World Championship that we can say for the first time. Okay, before we go, team driver championships. I'm going to go around the horn. So let's go RJ first, and I'll go clockwise.
I think the team's championship stays at DS Techeetah.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that the driver's championship stays with Antonio Felix da Costa, the special one. The Portuguese superstar athlete that's not going to let you down as a person, we hope. I keep, that's about the only sure things that I know about this season while we're still putting the calendar as we're going along in the season.
It is open. Cam, what do you reckon?
We know what team you're gonna pick.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I think no. I think for the team,
Pick 'em.
No.
Pick 'em, you coward.
Fuck you. I think the team's championship stays at DS Techeetah. I'm gonna go a little spicy on my driver's pick. I think Rene Rask.
Oh wow. Rast all the way. Okay. Interesting. King.
I hate to say it, but I agree with Cam. Teams to
Wow.
Cheetah, drivers Rene Rask. He's gonna bring the scythe out. He's gonna bring the scythe.
It's just Goku.
I did not think I was going to have anyone agree with. I didn't think I was going to have any allies with that pick.
Wow, so for the first time maybe in the history of a four-man booth of Motorsport 101, Cam and King agreed on something. Truly dark times here, folks. Me? Again, I'm going to stick with... It's going to be a clean sweep teams-wise. I think DS Cheetah will win the team's title. But I think Jev takes his title back.
Ooh.
Wow.
I just have this gut feeling on Jev. I think Jev is not going to want to tolerate getting beaten by a man that stole his lunch money twice in a row.
To an extent, I see that as well, because I think Jev is a driver who is always better when he has something motivating him.
Yes.
And now he has it.
He's a heart-on-sleeve driver, and I like heart-on-sleeve drivers. They're fun, quite frankly. So, yeah, we all are in agreement on DSGG for the teams, but 3 different driver picks. We have RJ keeping with the Costa, the bottom row all saying Rene Rask for the driver's title, and me saying Jev. This is going to be a fascinating season to watch, and as mentioned, it all starts next weekend, and by the time you're probably watching it this weekend, in Riyadh, on February 26th. We'll be back to review that then, early March, so looking forward to that as well. I guess it really is mainstream motorsport season's opener, I guess you could say, on that one. But yeah, can't wait to see how this season goes. We really aren't exaggerating when we say we think there's easily 14 cars in this field that can win a race at any given point, and that's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. Let's wrap this up. Basically, you can find us one more time if you're watching us on YouTube. Hi, subscribe, hit the bell if you liked us, all of that good stuff. Our Twitter handles are on the screen right now if you're watching us on there. If not, at Harrison101HD, at RJ O'Connell for RJ, at Ryan Eric King for King, and C Buckley 917. The podcast itself is on Motorsport_101. Also, I love that RJ's still waving like it's episode of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire when they go through the guys on the road. It's like, just wait for the next 30 seconds. It's great. We're on Facebook.com/Motorsport101. We're on Instagram at Motorsport101pod, and we're on Patreon.com/Motorsport101 if you like back us financially on there. $5 gets you early access to all of the audio episodes of the show and anything we've caught up of until we're back on normal pace. $10 for the video versions of all our new shows and the supporters club of our Discord server. Thanks to everyone in there that's been watching along for the last hour 40. It's been a marathon edition this time round, but it was very, very fun indeed. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back, I want to say, in a couple of weeks' time. Most likely to... Yep, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time to review the opening doubleheader weekend in Riyadh for the Formula E season debut, and we're probably going to preview the F1 season pretty soon as well, because we'll have testing rolling up the week after, so that should be fun. So, until then, I've been Andre Harrison, they've been RJ O'Connell, Ryan Eric King, and Cam Buckley. Stay safe out there, Texas, and until then, thanks for watching and listening. Sayonara.
Later, y'all!
Bye.
Pascal Wehrlein to win 3 races.
And, oh lord, and just in case anyone was annoyed, yes, we know, it's pronounced Riyadh.
That's always confused me. Like, I was like... Look, I'm really bad at pronunciations, okay? It's one of these things that just happens.
Yeah, don't you hate it when you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable?